Two bills up for debate in the Missouri Capitol today, both of them involving undocumented immigrants. One of the bills would impose a new criminal charge of improper entry by an alien to anyone who is in Missouri and the country illegally. The same bill would block college enrollment and all public services from any undocumented person. Now, another bill would bring on a felony charge to an undocumented immigrant who commits a misdemeanor. Bills are set to be heard in committees this afternoon.